Ndị be anyị ekene m unu. Asị m nke onye chiri ya zelu. Alright, once again, good morning from this side and good afternoon, good day and good evening. Depends your time and your location. It's na-esoyela anyị ya na-eme n'elu akwụkwọ a n'ụbọchị nke taa. Alright, amụ na anyị afọ nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Vincent. Before through n'ebe a bụ ọ tọgbara aka oyibo nsugbe in international media. Before anyị gaa n'ihu, ka anyị kelegodi ndị na-eme na ife anyị na-eme n'ala Igbo na-adị mma. Anyị jikwara na-asị onye ọbụla na-etinye aka for the release of Maazị Nnamdi Kanu and na-ekwuchiri ndị Igbo ọnụ fa. Asị m ya dụrụ unu mma na Eke, dịkwara unu mma n'Orie, dịkwara unu mma n'Afọ. Ise n'ahịa nke anọ nke ndị Igbo ya dụrụ niile na mma. Unu ga-adị ka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Ọnụ anyị kwuru na ka ọ ya adị. Ise. Alright, anyị eji gosizi unu ife nwanne anyị nwoke kwuru n'international media. Ini dịrị ige ya bụ ife. Our brother Vincent, as in said it the way it is. And the time elugo ge federal government getinye anya n'ife a before or gafe, before or the too late. This is the time now. Just listen to our brother, and after that, leave us with your own comment on the comment section below. All right, over to you, my brother.
How bad are things in terms of security? The sit at home is a major issue, isn't it?
Yes, there are a whole lot of issues, not just the sit at home. At least when you talk about the sit at home, you're talking about the economic implications on the economy of the Southeast. Then there is the issue, which is the major one of the issue of security of lives and property. So there are criminals masquerading as agitators who have hidden in various bushes or forests around the Southeast, with the whole notion that they are probably agitating for the release of Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. And every now and then, they come out, they unleash mayhem on the innocent citizens of Southeast Nigeria. And we've had track record of wanton kidnappings, killings, at least from, I should say, between 2020 till date. In fact, there have been numerous reports about the number of lives that have been lost. Security men, innocent civilians, so many property bonds, police stations, and what have you. So it's a very serious issue. And I'm very, very happy when you played the video of the meeting of Southeast leaders that was held at the Imo Government Lodge. There is a consensus of opinion around the Southeast, and that reverberates around Nigeria now, that there is need for the presidency or the federal government to wade into this crisis. And one thing that keeps reoccurring is the issue of Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. I will draw an analogy with the biblical injunction that you try and separate the wheat from the chaff. Now, there are so many armed men, non-state actors, camped in various bushes and forests around Southeast, claiming that they are agitators and that they will not stop the unrest until Maazị Nnamdi Kanu is released. There have been several statements issued in the past. In fact, you will see some faceless group wearing masks saying that whoever you are, once you're a political appointee or a government official around Southeast, if they get you, they are going to eliminate you. Of course, in Anambra State, I think it was in sometime last year, we lost a House of Assembly member who was gruesomely beheaded. So these are among the issues that the Southeast is facing. And I always say one thing, no matter the form or manner of an agitation, once a criminal is in the forest, he has to fend for food. So
where is Ebubo Ago in all of these, in the scheme of things? Because we thought that the Southeast Security Network, yes, the Ebubo Ago, was supposed to come as a mitigating factor.
When you say
to clear the bushes of the Southeast region.
When you talk about the Ebubo Ago, you recall that there was really no consensus of opinion around that. Like in Anambra State, we don't have Ebubo Ago.
Oh, you have the Anambra.
We have the Anambra Vigilante Services.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you for sure, another issue that is really at the heart of all these things is the issue of policing within the context of the Nigerian Constitution. Because the Bubagu you're talking about, there is a limit to the nature of arms that they can carry. For example, in Anambra State, where we have the Anambra Vigilante Services, the AV, the Anambra Vigilante Group, they've really tried as much as possible to try and quell these insecurity issues around Anambra State. And I know that there are similar groups around some other Southeast states. But the problem is the security forces, talking about the traditional security forces, the conventional security forces, the police and the armed forces, have really been demoralized in terms of the number of men that they've lost. Because this thing comes more or less in the form of a guerrilla attack. And that's why the consensus of opinion around the Southeast is that since there is a key actor in all of this who is in detention and who purports to be the reason why these criminals have been engaging in the form of criminality that they are doing in the Southeast, that there is need for President Tinubu to intervene by releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu so that there can be a serious roundtable discussion around the Southeast.
Isn't there a judicial or a legal question? Because the case is now before the Supreme Court, and the issue of his bail and the termination of the substantive matter before the apex court is there.
If you recall,
wouldn't that be?
If you recall, I did author an open letter to President Tinubu, which was published on some newspaper of this Sunday Sun. I tried to highlight some of these issues because they are very critical to the survival of Southeast economy. Now, if you recall, there was a judgment sometime last year by the Court of Appeal quashing the charges of terrorism that were preferred against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ordinarily, with the judgment, it means that the next thing is for him to be released because there are no longer any pending charges against him. Now, the next thing that happened was that the federal government, through the office of the AGF, filed an appeal before the Supreme Court and brought an application before the Court of Appeal, the same Court of Appeal that delivered the judgment, asking the Court of Appeal to stay the execution of that judgment. Of course, you have seen some other persons in the past who the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court set free. Once the charges against an accused person is quashed, the next thing is there's absolutely no reason to hold the person. But in this case, there was an application for stay of execution which the Court of Appeal granted. Now, granted that probably forms a basis for the continued detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But the fact needs to be made, and the point needs to be made, that if not for the appeal and the application to stay the execution which was presented before the Court of Appeal, he probably would have been a free man. So, it now brings to a front burner, the issue, because the essence of a prosecution is to really try and find out if someone who has been accused of committing a crime is actually guilty. Now, and what the federal government is expected to do is prosecution, not persecution.
So, I mean,
so your own made that point.
So your own interpretation of the legal scenario playing out in the court is your opinion, but it's within the premise of the court now. And so don't let us argue.
It's not really within the premise.
You're giving a premise. Just hold on. We can't argue what. Just hold on.
Okay.
We cannot argue what is before the court.
No, let me explain. No, that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that whatever is holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is as a result of an appeal filed by the federal government. So if the federal government decides to withdraw the appeal today,
so are you aware that there is a matter before the court that was starting around April or May, and which has now adjourned the sitting
to September,
trying to hear the matter of his bail. So if that matter is before the court, I don't want us to speak in that way. Let us leave it to the court.
The point
so that the court can, if the court grants his bail.
The point we are making is simple. Before that time, because of the need, various stakeholders made this call in the past. They were making the call, even aware of the fact that there are proceedings pending in court. If the federal government decides today that as a matter of urgency to hearken to the calls of various leaders and stakeholders from the Southeast, There are options available. I'm a lawyer. The Office of the Attorney General of the Federation can withdraw the charges preferred against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. There can be plea
that's the prayers of the leaders of the region, including Governor Chukwuma Soludo.
Yes.
That
what we've been asking.
Also, one of the prayers, I mean, because I've spoken to Governor Soludo about it, is that it could be handed over to him in the government house.
That's his request.
So the question is that if the President Tinubu, for example, grant that request, would that douse the tension?
Yes. The most important thing.
You're 100%.
Yes. You know why? Governor Soludo has persistently maintained that we need him on the table because the issue of insecurity in the Southeast is one that calls for serious dialogue from every stakeholder concerned. If you have Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on the table and he comes out to say, okay, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been released. Now, he draws one simple point. Any other person, any other group, no matter the ages, no matter the agitation you say you're doing, once you still remain in the forest or in the bushes, it means you are no longer probably agitating for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now we label you a pure criminal. So let me deal with you decisively.
Let's anchor on this point. I mean, on one hand, the clamor for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. That's one hand. Which there are those who say it might not solve the problem because there are guns already in the hands of some element. Because you have also ascribed the fact that there are criminal elements who are also masquerading as agitators. So how do you clean up the Southeast region? Because all of this scenario had brought this tension in the region. Now, and don't forget, there is a Simon Ekpa.
These are the issues. These are the
in Finland.
Of course, these are the issues. Because
are you able to control Simon Ekpa, who is giving orders for people to sit at home?
All the orders Simon Ekpa has given are all geared or purportedly geared towards the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
There are some IPOB members that are denying that Simon Ekpa is not a leader of their group.
We have one Emma Powerful who issues statements here and there. But the fact remains that whatever Simon Ekpa is doing, whether rightly or wrongly, as much as possible, I've not come to apportion blames. What I've come to do as a concerned Southeast stakeholder, whatever statement that has been emanated from Simon Ekpa in the past have all been geared towards the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, if you release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, ordinarily, you solve that problem. You talked about the cleaning of the Southeast. Now I can tell you, and I made this call on national TV, it's very, very important. Good thing, while President Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State, he was a champion of true federalism. And I can tell you, because I could recall, as a lawyer who read so many cases bordering on Attorney General of the Lagos State and Attorney General of the Federation, and they all bordered on key issues bordering on federalism in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. One that has kept resurfacing as far as I'm concerned, and I said it in the letter, an open letter I wrote to the president, is the issue of policing. There is no longer any reason why the police should remain in the exclusive legislative list. It is very, very key. There is no way where we wait for someone in Imo State to wait on the IG of police in Abuja to secure. There have been cases. I think I recall an instance where the former governor of Enugu State, Ugwuanyi, as well as the former governor of Benue State, said that they reached out, they got credible intelligence about an imminent attack, and they reached out to security agencies, and nothing could be done. But in this situation, if we have state police like we have in other true federalism, something like the USA, so that in Anambra State, the security agencies that we have are under Anambra State Command, under the control of the state governor of the state, and they are well equipped and armed to handle this security situation. It is very, very important that I call on the National Assembly in this instance to really, really look at serious constitutional amendment.
All right, thank you so much. And as Kwakachuko Kabia Premier in the Gozikunu, Kunsinesela, Nila Papa. All right, when I'm going for one hour, international media. When I'm going, of course, we're Kawai Feni, of course, we could need a get jewel Elise Mazin and the Kano. Because in money watch, if any man and a bike kita. No, Eugene the Kitab Mazin and the Kano. None of Mr. Tom Nanibo. Because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. None immediate teacher because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So imagine na there is a Maazị Nnamdi Kanu today, unu echere na peace ama ndị na East? Just agolenu m ajụ a, unu echere peace ama ndị na East? Peace ga-adị, a ga-enwe very very calm, as in absolutely calm na the southeast ife m na-agwa unu eziokwu, a na-akụlọ mmiri. Unu anụgo ka nwanne ya nwoke si wee kwu ya, ajụbụ mere a na-asị ka a rapụ ndị ọbụla na-etinye aka maka Maazị Nnamdi Kanu nwere onwe, ka a rapụ ndị ọbụla na-asọpọtụ ya na-eme n'ilu akwụkwọ a, na Chukwu oke abịa maka na-agọzi unu na Nkwọ, na-agọzi unu na Eke, na-agọzi unu na Afọ, na-agọzi unu n'Orie. All the 4 market days in Igbo land, your days will be blessed by Chukwu oke abịa ma. Ise. Daalụ na ụmụnne m, ka emesịanụ.